everybody. Welcome to Tuner Talk. So recently, our friend here had a car accident on his shortly after his birthday. So we're going to talk a little bit about his accident and a little bit about some accidents we've had over the years as car enthusiasts. Sometimes,
on and off the track.
Related to on and off the track. So what happened?
We're going to talk about accidents. This whole episode would be mine. This is the whole episode.
Well, we're not going to talk about every BMW you bought. We're just going to talk about crashes.
Most of them happen in Camaros, actually. That's neither here nor there.
All right, so when did this happened recently? But
2 months
you're
ago.
recuperating, right?
Yeah. So
very well, I must add.
Thank you. Yeah. So you pretty much hit the nail on the head. A friend took me out for my birthday, and on the way home, it was late at night. On the way home, I took a nap in the car. We were on the highway, and I didn't need to be awake. And I woke up to breaking glass and crunching metal, and my leg folding up like a piece of linguine. And I'm like, this isn't good, And
not what you want to wake up to.
No, not at all.
I never want to sleep in a car.
Worst alarm ever.
Yeah, no wonder why I can only sleep for like 2 or 3 hours at a clip now. It's probably because I have some PTSD from that. But
wake up smelling airbag.
Yeah. Burning car fabrics. So that happened, and then the car came to a rest, and I'm like, all right, I got to get out of the car, right? So I unbuckle my seatbelt, and the door doesn't do anything, and I'm starting to smell fire starting. I can getting the beginning sense of that, So I start. My friend got out of the car, and I started yelling to her like, "Hey, get me out of the car! I can't get out of the car." And my leg obviously wasn't doing anything.
You weren't going to be jumping out of the car.
Not jumping at all. So some people saw and they stopped and they pulled me out of the car, and they laid me down incidentally in a pile of fire ants, unbeknownst to them. And I was so.
Because you had said you thought you were on fire.
I thought I was on fire, yeah, because I had this burning sensation on my right arm, and I look
over
over
the chemical.
And I look over the car, and I could see fire in the car. I'm like, oh, so this is just life now. Like my leg's ruined, and I'm on fire. But whatever, or I might have been a bit on fire, and now I'm dealing with that. So, I'm laying there, and then I found out from the doctors later, I collapsed both my lungs. One was completely collapsed, one was nearly completely collapsed. I could barely breathe. And then after the surgery were done, while I was in the hospital, from mostly the leg, and I got my hip replaced.
Yeah, you have a titanium upgrade.
I have a titanium hip, and I have a stainless steel.
What would you say you're like the $300 man?
Well, if we use my medical cost so far, I'm the $350,000 man. That's what it's costing right now.
At least you're down the billions.
Yeah, what are you at?
You're fine.
But yeah, so I got a stainless steel.
It's a budget bill.
It's a budget.
You won't get your TV show just yet.
Yeah, that's okay. That's all right. So I got a stainless steel pipe in my shin bone, in my the tibia. And then I got a titanium hip. But anyway, so after the surgeries were all done, the surgical team comes in, and they're like, "Hey, this is what we did with your hip. This is what we did with your leg, and blah blah. And your lungs are recovering nicely. And don't even worry about the 2 broken vertebrae in your back." And I'm like, "What? What do you mean? What else is there?" Apparently, like, if you're gonna break your back, you want to break it the way I did. They're the easiest to heal, and they don't require surgery. And they don't affect your mobility or anything, but it was just really interesting.
First person breaks his back and you don't need surgery.
Well, it was just interesting.
I've never broken anything. I feel such.
Neither did I up until this accident.
Yeah.
And I guess technically she broke my bones. I didn't break my bones. So.
Car did.
Yeah. But I'm just like, what else? What do you mean? Don't worry about my broken vertebrae. What else is there? Like, how else could I have been harmed from this accident? But yeah, it was an interesting time.
So, we went and saw him almost immediately.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
thank you for that.
Oh yeah.
Anytime, man.
Well, it was we brought him a helmet just.
Well, ironically, my head was fine.
Well, we figured
because of the helmet.
Because of the helmet. Yeah, but so what was the cause of the accident? What was the cause of the fire? Well, the car got crushed in a weird way, right?
That's the interesting thing. It happened in a Toyota Corolla. Toyota Corollas usually do well in crash.
Right, it was like a 4-door Corolla.
Yeah,
right?
4-door Corolla, and they usually do well in crash tests. You never hear about
unless
Corollas.
you're your size.
Well, yeah,
you're taking up the whole.
That's true. That is true. I actually hadn't considered that, but
and you were the SRS system.
Yeah.
But what happened is,
hi, I'm Jason. I'm the crumple zone.
I am the crumple zone. My leg was the crumple zone. But what happened is, because of the manner in which the two cars met, the guy who we hit was having car trouble. So he was half in our lane and half in the shoulder. And because we were coming around the turn and there was a car, she was in the right lane, my friend was in the right lane, and there was a car slightly in front of her at the left. So she couldn't see this guy until this car was clear of it. Her view was obstructed until it went past. So she didn't even know
if someone jumps out of the lane.
it's at highway speed, right? So she, of course, laid on the brakes, but it was too little, too late. And then the front passenger side of her car met the rear driver's side of his. And for some reason or another, I don't know if it was due to what I couldn't say, but the passenger side floorboard, which my foot was straight against as I was sleeping, just came in.
And since how the car bent.
Right.
So that's probably what caused all this chain reaction.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Like, wow.
They didn't shoot you through the roof.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing the doctor said. It's a good thing you work out because people who have less muscle mass have more traumatic injuries in situations like this. So I was like, this is the second time in my life I've heard that in response to an accident. Somebody continue to work out.
So,
Right,
so I've seen pictures of the car post-accident.
Yeah.
It literally burnt right up to the taillights. Like, there's
really?
like this much of the car that
yeah.
isn't burned.
Yeah.
It looks like somebody just said, stop the fire here.
It's unrecognizable.
Yeah, no, it really is. It's crazy. But you had a
The
crack.
keys burnt up. The keys never burnt. The keys burnt up. They're all.
Did you find them eventually?
So no,
Just like
my
a
friend
puddle
saw
of
them.
metal.
No, not that much, but they were deformed.
Right.
Yeah.
So you had a crack team at OMRC, right?
Yeah, or RMC,
RMC,
RMC.
It turns out, for whatever reason, a renowned surgeon happened to be there when I got there. And my hip feels great, so good job, whoever you are.
It's a great hospital. If for guys who don't know, that's the hospital that was literally right down the street from the Pulse shooting.
Correct. Yeah.
So
that's right.
That's the hospital. That,
they handled everything very well.
Their trauma team did a great job.
Yeah.
Great job.
Got the practice. Yeah.
And I got to play with your hospital bed with your undercarnium. So he has this hospital bed that you push a button and light up under the hospital bed, and I found that the most amusing thing.
But some of them strobed, right? I think
some of them strobed. Yeah,
that's funny.
Some of them strobed. It was like, where did all those people with those underglow kits
They
go?
got into
They got in the medical business.
Green means not an emergency, but I need your attention.
So
right?
when do they think you're going to be like 100%? Because you're doing
Well,
way better than I think any of us have given you credit for.
No,
Absolutely,
even the my knee specific doctor and my surgical doctor, I had appointments with them both today and last week, and they're like, you're doing way better than we thought. They gave me a 10-week window for the majority of the healing to be done, but a 2-year window for me to be
full recovery.
But then my one doctor goes, but if you keep going at the rate you're going, maybe 1 year. So at least a year. At least a year.
Right.
But then I'll be 100% back to normal in a year.
So, but you're basically disabled.
Yeah.
Like you're walking around on a walker.
Walker.
So you've got a GoFundMe going.
I do, I do.
So
Unfortunately,
we're gonna post a link in the video and post a link on Instagram. Help this man out.
Yeah, unfortunately, the accident happened while I was new at a job, so I didn't have short-term disability yet, and I didn't have health insurance yet. So this is going to be an expensive experience for me.
Yeah, well, you're talking to somebody who's on his own medical, so
yeah,
out of pocket. So you said you recently had an accident as well.
Yeah, actually, not quite as severe as his, but
this is not a contest you want to win.
For all intents and purposes, more of a fender bender than anything else. Actually, I don't know, about 4 or 5 months ago, just a stupid little accident.
With your FRS, right?
Yeah, my BRT. Same difference, but
can I ask a question?
Sure.
Just as an aside, we know those cars are stablemates, but every FRS or BRZ owner is quick to correct you when you say the wrong one, but they're the same car.
I think it's
they are.
I think it's because some people. I don't think the Toyota people are as bad. I think it's Subaru people
guys
want it to be a Subaru.
They're more.
Like it's better because it's a Subaru. It's
for my personal experience, yes, it's the same car, but it's more of a Subaru than it is a Toyota. Also, I specifically went out of my way to get the Subaru over the FRS.
We've got a
because
video
of
plan in the future.
sales numbers and all that. There's a lot more FRSs out there, which means their value's a little lower, and the BRC does have a slightly nicer interior. Those are the major differences.
It's more unique.
It is more unique, right? So that's kind of why
Subaru for sure.
Yeah.
But
I mean, the engine and all the other mechanical components aside from the transmission are all Subaru, so it's mostly a Subaru.
On the schedule,
That's a fair point.
On the schedule, we actually have a video planned with a base BRZ and a highly modified one at a local Subaru dealer.
Cool.
He's actually right because I've looked into those. Every now and then I check where the values are, and the FRSs tend to go for less than the BRZ.
Yes.
And
Well, so Toyota sells like 10-1.
Yeah.
And I'm always amazed
So-
by how many people, regardless of what it is, remove the badges totally.
I did.
It's like one of the most debadged cars I've ever seen.
It's like it's a first mod.
Yeah, let's put a bumper on this thing.
Anybody got any floss?
Yeah, fill these holes in.
There you go.
But I mean, but it wasn't a big deal.
No,
Was it like
I
it was the
rear-ended
worst
someone.
accident of your life? Or?
No.
You didn't get injured.
No, not at all.
That's good.
Other than I inhaled some airbag smoke and I got a bruise on my arm because I actually reacted quickly enough to block the airbag, which the cops were surprised at because I guess you're not
Had a big
supposed.
slap mark in your
Yeah.
face from your arm.
Well, yeah, no, I instantly knew it was happening and I just put my hand up and I just got it out of the way.
Oh, so you didn't get
bruised my arm.
airbag bloody nose that everyone
No.
gets. Yeah.
Unfortunately not. I just lived with a bruise for a week or so. But
But what was like a worse accident?
my worst accident.
This is probably your worst accident.
None of mine have been bad, to be
Yes.
honest with you. I've been T-boned, I've been rear-ended. I've rear-ended someone, obviously, recently. But my worst one was I had a 94 Civic Coupe that I had owned at that point, 12 years, which is by far the longest I've ever owned a car. And I was with my kids, it was a rainy day. We were coming back from a friend's pool, and I'm standing at a red light, and some guy was texting on his phone in a Land Cruiser. And just
Small vehicle.
plowed into
Cruising
the back.
the land.
Yeah, absolutely. Just plowed into me at a red light, and the back end of the Civic, the license plate met up with the back seat. Like it just crumpled the whole back end.
Oh man, wow.
The driver's seat torqued. The
Kids
back
were
glass. Huh?
Kids were okay?
Yeah, the kids were fine. They were scared. Lindsay had a slightly sore neck for a couple of days, but nothing other than that.
Just some more
I was sore a little bit, but luckily the car did its job. It crumpled, and we were okay. Luckily for the tint, because the back window just shattered, but it just kind of fell like a blanket and smacked.
Oh, like it kept all the.
It kept it all together,
Yeah,
so it just
yeah.
kind of smacked my little one on the head. But that was it. We got out. We were okay. The car was ruined, but that's probably my worst one. And that Civic had actually been previously T-boned in twice, but they were slow, where it just did damage to the door, replaced doors, fixed it. But yeah, I've had just a handful of small accidents. But that was my worst one.
This is the worst accident I've been in terms of personal injury, but I wasn't driving. So as far as like accidents I've been driving in, this episode could easily be mine if I thought about it. You remember, Allstate had a commercial years ago
Good hands, people.
that in the early 2000s they had an accident where they were first introduced the accident forgiveness thing.
Yeah.
And there was like this young 20s guy that's like, I like to refer to September as Rectember. My dad used to make fun of me and say that was me because from I want to say September of 2005 until January of 2006, I got in 5 car accidents.
Oh wow.
So he used to make fun of me. It started in September and went until January.
The last accident.
All in Camaros.
The last accident, I was in. As far as I remember, we had this old shop truck. This is when our shop was down in Pompano, and one of my customers, who's through this is now one of my really good friends, was following me, and his dad had a Isuzu Amigo or.
Oh.
Was it Amigo?
Yeah.
Rodeo?
There's an Amigo and there's a
Rodeo. I think it was Amigo.
Rodeo was like
Maybe it was a
Honda.
little two-door, yeah.
Eric will get on here and straighten me out. But anyway, he was behind me, and there was a car in front of me and a car. Yeah, it was a car in front of me, and this lady, and we were turning left off Glades onto the. I can't remember what road it was, but we're all at a traffic light. It's like 4 of us lined up at a traffic light. And this lady in a Jetta station wagon, or a Passat wagon, or like a Volkswagen station wagon, just pooh, hits us, doesn't even try to stop. I don't know if she was texting, I don't know what the story was. She hits him, he hits me, I hit the guy in front of me, the guy in front of him get tapped. Now, I have this old beater. It was an 87 hard body Nissan pickup, V6, two-wheel drive,
Yeah.
So the extent of the damage was one little ding in the bumper in the back, and that was it.
Oh, you were towards the end of the
now
chain.
My friend had actually hit the car. Actually folded up his tailgate, and his trailer hitch was all messed up, and he got yanked in his steering, so he had a good case of whiplash. The guy gets out of the car in front of me, starts screaming at me, thinking I drove into him, and I'm like, whoa, check the rearview mirror, and she gets out, motorcycle cop comes about 10 minutes later. Nobody can turn at this point. Nobody's hurt. I'm like, can we get out of this road and just pull over? So as soon as the cop gets
Which you're supposed to do, by the way.
The cop's like, Lord, Alex, let's move. And I'm like, okay.
Changes by state.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it depends on what everybody wants to do. But I am listening to her talk to the police officer. She's like, I couldn't see that the light was red because the SUV in front of me, meaning my friend's car, blocked the light. Because it was taller than her car.
Yeah.
And the police officer turns to her and goes, well, you noticed the SUV wasn't moving, right? And it was stopped. So regardless of what you could see with the light,
Right.
the vehicle in front of you wasn't moving. So she was getting smacked.
Brake lights off.
But the weird part about the whole thing is I got some whiplash out of it. My phone went for a ride. But the crazy part of the accident was the guy in front of me that I tapped his bumper was an organ transplant car that was taking a heart to a hospital.
Oh, no.
So as soon as he explained to me what he's doing, I'm like, when the police officer gets around, you might want to get his information first and let him go, because what he's doing is probably a bit more important than anything.
No one had to arrest him, so do
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the big accident in my life, I was, I want to say I was 18, 19, and I lived in Pennsylvania at the time. My birthday's in February, so it had snowed a few days before, so the roads weren't snow covered, but the sides of the roads were. And my mom kicked me out of the house, said, go to the store with my friend, and so that she could throw a surprise party for me. So the plan was as soon as I left, my friends would all come over and set up the surprise birthday party. So I had a Mustang GT at the time, jump in the car with my friend who was a spitting image of Axl Rose back then. Like red hair down
Old
here.
Axl Rose.
Old Axl Rose,
Yeah.
not current Axl
ridiculous.
Rose. No, like
Okay,
17, 18
Your Mustang Fox body?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It was an 80. It was an
Okay.
84 and a half GT. And if anybody Fox Fashion fans,
Probably the
that's
last time anyone cared
year
about the half year.
it's the first. The half year's got the 5-speed.
Was that the
really?
quad headlight?
Yeah.
Fox light, yeah.
4 glass headlights.
Yeah.
The grill was a little triangle. 83 and 84 were the only years they looked like that.
Mhm.
The front. Anyway, so I'm ripping into my town. I've driven this for 1,000 times. You go over these 2 hills, and I'm coming up. Highway speed there's like 50, 60 miles an hour. Come up with the hill, and the station wagon just pulls out in front of me. Big, bright blue, old Dodge station wagon. And I don't hit him, but I go into the road that he's coming out, and I drag the whole driver's side of my car across his whole back of his car going like this. And the G-forces imploded the tire, like the right rear tire. It just blew.
Wow.
It
Wow.
stretched to the point where it touched the frame, because the frame literally had a tire mark,
Like a rub.
like a rub, and
Yeah,
it
yeah.
blew off, and it sent the car spinning across the road and up an embankment that was at an angle like roughly like this. And so if you old Fox chassis, you could take the back seats and fold them down. And I would always drive around like that, like it was more of a coupe.
Right.
We go blowing through the woods,
The old
snow, trees. We're taking trees down, brush, shit's flying everywhere. The car spins, and then we finally stop spinning on the hill, and the most, inertia is carrying you up the hill and then down the hill.
Yeah.
In the direction you were traveling. And we're coming straight down the hill. Now, the seats break when we hit the embankment backwards. So I'm in a seatbelt. My friend didn't have a seatbelt on. He goes shooting out of his seat, cuts his head open on the covers where the taillights are. And I'm caught in the seatbelt, so I'm still in my seat. And I'm going down the hill towards the road. And I'm watching the road come up at me.
Wow.
So I put a foot on a foot, and I bend my brake pedal sideways. And I bend the steering wheel, I'm like,
Right.
and we hit the road, the car comes to a stop. Both of us had the same thing in our minds. He climbs into the passenger, jumps out and runs this way. I'm like, we went backwards into the embankment. The gas tank's probably ruptured. We're going to blow up here any minute. I've watched a lot of movies.
Yeah.
So I go running off the side of the road. Meanwhile, I must say, car's still running.
No shit.
Right? Car's still running. So I get out of the car and I run to the side of the road. Now, what I don't realize is that through this accident, granted, none of the glass broke in the car. I don't know why, but I had slipped the 3rd vertebrae in my neck. So It had actually come backwards and then gone back into place through the accident. So I get to the side of the road, and as soon as I stood up fully, the pinched nerve shut me off like a switch. Now I pass out standing up and fall over like boom. It was like people there said it looked like someone shot me.
Yeah, somebody just turned you off.
And I fell face first into a snowdrift. So cars just getting out of control. Luckily, nobody else hits us. People get out of the car, they rush over, they pick me up out of the snowdrift. Now, my friend is running in the opposite direction. The ambulance shows up, which the ambulance company is like 4 minutes down the road.
Nice.
Ambulance shows up. Now, bear in mind, always been a kind of a car guy. So I'm a diehard Ford fan at this point, okay? And that's the last thing I remember, was passing out. I wake up in the ambulance, cervical collar, all this stuff, they're rushing me to the hospital, and I look up and there's a plaque over my head, and it says ambulance by Chevrolet. And I'm like, I'm gonna die. Like, that's how you think, because you're so dedicated.
Right.
And what was funny is halfway to the hospital, the alternator on the ambulance dies. They have to get a police escort because the headlights didn't work in the ambulance, and we had to go. Yeah, so we get to I'm like, okay, great, I'm in one piece. I really didn't feel that bad. I just felt the normal stuff you feel when you spun around and your neck hurts.
This disorientation.
Yeah, I've fallen off four-wheelers and hurt more than that. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so now I'm in the hospital. They're checking me out. They're making sure I don't have a concussion. They're doing all this hospital stuff. Meanwhile, back at the crash scene,
is your buddy still running
my
around?
friend was running around. He's literally running around. So
I just picture this guy.
Just circles.
So meanwhile, a fire, first responder, which they call it now, but it was a volunteer fireman, friend of ours.
Yeah.
Watched the accident happen. He was actually going the opposite direction. So
crazy.
he jumps out of throws his lights on his truck, pulls the car that caused the accident over. This guy's drunk off his ass with his 7-year-old daughter with no seatbelt in the back seat.
Oh, wow.
He holds him there until the police can arrest him for DUI and everything. And DUI causing an accident and all this other stuff, right? So, meanwhile, my friend got a concussion, unbeknownst to him, right? So he denies medical treatment from the ambulance.
Yeah.
He denies medical treatment at the ambulance, gets a ride from a passerby back to my house. Now, bear in mind, my dad is on a deployment in the military at the time. He's not home. And the guy who left with me to go to the store walks in the front door, blood all down through his hair, walks in the door and announces to everyone at the party, John just died in a car accident. Because he watched them pick me up out of the snowdrift, put me on a gurney and cover me up because they thought I was hypothermic.
Apparently unresponsive.
And I was
From
fine, but they were trying to warm me up.
Right.
Yeah.
So they thought, oh my God, he covered him up, he's dead. So he gets right back. My mom's freaking
He's also
out.
not in his right mind
Everyone's freaking out at the party. Everyone's freaking out at the party. Meanwhile, I'm at the hospital going, okay, biggest accident in the history of my town. Where the hell is everybody? This is my birthday. Where is everybody? Worst birthday ever. My car's totaled. So I finally get a phone back then, landlines, right? So I call my house, and I'm like, and one of my friends answers the phone, and he goes, yeah, I'm like, hey, it's John. Why isn't anybody here at the hospital to pick me up? And he goes, dude, that's not funny. John just died in a car accident. And I'm like, put my mom on the phone right now. Because I was just doing the math in my head. And my mom's bawling, and she's in tears. And I'm like, don't worry about it. No, you're not him. And she's freaking out. I'm like, I'm fine. Can somebody please come to the hospital? It's the worst birthday ever.
This is not from beyond the grave.
It was the first car I ever bought on my own with a car payment and everything.
Oh,
and
man.
And I knew it was done. So
That would do it, yeah.
I come home, and so that's what happened with the accident. And I've been fine. I never have any residual problems from it. But I was so hurt. I didn't want to see the car. Everybody was like, you gotta go see your car. So the car's sitting at this towing service on the side of the road, and everyone we know, small town, Effort, Pennsylvania, I'm in middle of nowhere.
Wow.
So everybody's going by, and they see my car, which is this white and black Mustang. Everybody knows the car. So they're stopping, and there's blood on the seats, and they're like, this kid died. And it was a time when I wasn't in school anymore. So my friends knew what was going on, but small town, no cell phones at the time, no instant technology where you know everything that's going on. Oh, he farted 5 seconds ago.
Word of mouth.
So word of mouth is, oh, he's dead.
And that's all people had.
Right, and plus the story gets out like
It probably takes weeks to
like a game of telephone where you're like, oh, they thought I was dead, so now they're thinking I'm actually dead. My mom was well known in the town, so they're calling my mother. We're so sorry about your son, and he's like, now he's not dead, fortunately. At that point, she was probably pretty.
He's still alive.
But so the insurance company didn't really want to settle, and we wound up having to take it to court. It took like 8 months, and so it was a hassle. And then they finally settled with us the day before it went to trial because they just knew it was going to not go well.
They're going to wait, yeah.
Yeah, and I wound up buying an '84 Mustang GT like the next week.
Another one.
Yeah, I had like 7 of those cars.
Wow. Oh, so that was your Camaro? Because
that was
me,
my
I
Camaro,
had 5 Camaros.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, they were Fox. Anyone who's ever owned a Fox chassis will tell you it's a pretty indestructible car. I mean, you can carry everything in the trunk that you'll ever break, like a fan belt, like a
in the
capacitor,
every part of the car. Yeah.
The ignition module will break. Carry one.
Right.
All that little stupid stuff. Distributor cap, rotor. You can carry everything you need. But Foxes are pretty tough cars. They're just. A friend of mine wanted me to look for one for him a while back, and you can't find them. Like you find them, they're all autos or convertibles.
Well,
people aren't selling them.
I addressed this topic in
because they've just crashed them and raced them and torn them apart, and they're just gone.
I addressed this topic in one of the previous videos where I was saying that we were talking about. I think it was the auto versus manual episode, and I was saying that
it was like the first one we released.
I think you're right. And I was saying that I always had like a casual interest in Fox bodies, and when I didn't have the spare money for them, they were very affordable. And then now that I can come up with that money very quickly, they're not affordable.
They're not affordable, yeah.
They're like $10,000 for a manual 5.0 with regular driver wear, and I'm like, no, I'm not going to pay $10,000 for that.
You could come up with money pre-accident.
Pre-accident, yeah.
Yeah.
Thankfully, actually, my job kept me, so I can walk back in,
cool.
but I'm not making any money right now.
Yeah. So you've had multiple Mustangs, you've had multiple Camaros,
yeah.
So cool cars. The only cars I've had multiples
You've had multiple children.
Yeah, I don't have any of those.
I have. The only multiple cars I've had was a Mazda 626 and a Toyota 4Runner.
Yeah, but
that's an interesting combination of cars to have multiples of.
Yeah.
Because I had multiple DSMs, but those are niche cars. Multiple BMWs.
Usually,
multiple BMWs,
4Runners.
But not the exact same vehicle.
Well, it's not uncommon for you to have a 4Runner, if you're in the Middle East.
That's true. Or a Land Cruiser.
Right,
yeah.
No, I had like multiples of the same chassis.
I got you. Yeah,
like same 66, 93, 97, same chassis, same thing with 4Runner.
Yeah.
Also,
but I upgraded both times.
A lot of me owning Fox chassis. I was working for Ford at the time, so getting a lot of free parts and a lot of toys to test and things to play with.
I just had a problem with Camaros. Right. That's why I just kept buying them.
But all right, well, hopefully you'll continue to heal up. We'll get some new stuff,
Yeah.
And we'll see you guys next week.